Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to briefly analyze how Arteta's tactical approach created issues for Tuchel and Arsenal's 1-0 win over Chelsea. When we break down the game and we do look at the board, we have Chelsea in a 3-4-2-1, and the major tactical theme here involved Arsenal also shifting into that same shape. But ultimately, we witnessed two contrasting approaches from Tuchel and Arteta, and they both encountered success shutting down the opposition. First, when we focus on Chelsea, we did witness them press in the manner that we expected. Pulisic, Havertz, and Mount would close down the back three. James and Chilwell were pushing higher to close down Saka and Tierney. And then you ended up seeing Gilmour and Jorginho stepping forward to step towards Thomas Partey and Elneny. When Thomas Partey received the ball in particular, Pulisic or Mount, depending on who was on that side, would help out Gilmour to close him down. And we also ended up witnessing Mount tucking in narrow at times to close down Elneny when the ball was on the left-hand side. Chelsea's press from the front created several issues for Arsenal in their overall build-up play, and Arteta was hoping that Smith Rowe and Odegaard's movement would help him bypass that press. They were often dropping off into deeper positions to get on the ball, but Azpilicueta and Zouma did a very good job of tracking that movement to close them down. As the game persisted, we witnessed Smith Rowe and Odegaard dropping off to the right and left of Jorginho and Gilmour to get on the ball, but what you could say about Chelsea was that their pressing overall was successful. If we focus on Odegaard dropping off deeper to get on the ball, if he looked to play it into Aubameyang, Thiago Silva was stepping tight towards him. If he was looking to cut across Jorginho to slide to Smith Rowe, Azpilicueta was stepping tight towards him as well. And even on the rare occasion where Thomas Partey and Elneny were deeper and Gilmour and Jorginho didn't step towards them, if Odegaard or Smith Rowe dropped off into that midfield zone, the Chelsea midfield duo would simply shift across to close down the player on the ball, and that's how they were able to disrupt Arsenal's overall build-up play. If we break down an example as to how Arteta wanted to bypass Chelsea's press, we witness Holding sliding the ball across Mount for Saka dragging out Zouma into Arsenal's half. What happens next is that Odegaard slides the ball across Zouma into the path of Aubameyang running across Thiago Silva, and that's where you see Saka looking to break forward in towards the center of the pitch as Zouma's focused towards the ball. What happens next is that Aubameyang does carry the ball into the right channel, and he should be sliding it across Thiago Silva for Saka looking to break beyond Zouma in towards the Chelsea penalty area. However, Aubameyang holds his pass and he ends up dribbling towards Thiago Silva as Saka's run does die, and he plays a tame ball in towards right half space, and that results in his Arsenal teammate running offside. Meanwhile, when we focus on Arteta's approach, it was similar to what we saw from Guardiola in Chelsea's 2-1 win over Man City. In that game, City pressed with 4 players in their 5-1-4, and they left Azpilicueta free to get on the ball. Here, what we ended up seeing was that Aubameyang and Odegaard were stepping forward to close down Thiago Silva and Zouma, and then you would see Smith Rowe shifting across to close down Gilmour, while Elneny pushed forward to close down Jorginho. That does leave Azpilicueta free, and if he did get on the ball, you would see Smith Rowe stepping forward to close him down, and if Aubameyang wasn't dropping off deeper to pick up Gilmour, then Smith Rowe was often blocking off the passing lane into the Chelsea midfielder. That leaves Thomas Partey free in the center of the pitch, and the reason why was that Pulisic and Mount were dropping off deeper, similar to Smith Rowe and Odegaard, to receive the ball in that midfield zone, and if Gabriel nor Holding could step forward to apply tight pressure, then it was Thomas Partey's responsibility to shift laterally to close down that threat. Likewise, with Arsenal pressing from the front with 4 men, at the back the press was similar. Tierney and Saka would step to Chilwell and James, and like I said, you'd have the back 3 closing down Pulisic, Havertz, and Mount. If we look to an example, you could see Saka stepping tight towards Chilwell while Elneny and Odegaard are ahead of Jorginho and Zouma. Chilwell opts to play the ball into the path of Jorginho, and Elneny's tight pressure forces the Italian to slip, and now you can see the space that Odegaard can break into as Zouma's ball watching. Elneny ends up poking the ball beyond Zouma into the path of Odegaard down that right channel, and you can see Aubameyang looking to break off Thiago Silva at the back post, but Odegaard's delivery into the box is cleared by the Brazilian. In the build-up to Arsenal's winner, you have Odegaard stepping towards Zouma and blocking off the passing lane into Gilmour, and Zouma's still capable of playing the ball into Chilwell. However, Odegaard's pressure forces Zuma backwards, and you could see the expression on Gilmour and Jorginho's face as Smith Rowe and Elneny are just ahead of them and they were looking for the ball. As Zuma retreats, you could see Jorginho shifting laterally to serve as a passing option, but now Elneny could look to step towards him as Smith Rowe wasn't close, and Gilmour can shift laterally to receive the ball. Zuma ends up playing the ball out to Jorginho, and it pulls out Elneny, and now Odegaard's ready to step forward to apply pressure to Zuma while blocking off the passing lane into Gilmour. When Jorginho plays the ball back to Zuma, now you can see Odegaard still blocking off the passing lane into Gilmour, but he could shift laterally to receive the ball, and Chilwell still an option while Smith Rowe steps forward to Jorginho. Zuma opts to play the ball back into pressure, and when Jorginho receives the ball, he's instantly swarmed by Smith Rowe, and that results in the back pass that results in Arsenal's opener. So similar to Chelsea, Arsenal's pressing from the front did create several issues in that opening half, but they were equally effective when they dropped off into a deeper 5-4-1. What we ended up seeing was that Aubameyang was dropping off in towards his own half, and you'd expect him to close down Jorginho, who was often the deepest midfielder looking to get on the ball. But what was clear was that Arsenal were comfortable with Chelsea's center backs pushing forward to be the ball carriers. They wanted to ensure that Gilmour and Jorginho couldn't get on the ball, and that's when you would see Thomas Partey and Elneny stepping forward, or you would have Aubameyang also looking to apply pressure to them as well. Smith Rowe and Odegaard were tucking in narrow, and then Saka and Tierney would deal with James and Chilwell, who were pushing higher up the pitch. But what we ended up seeing was that in those wider areas, this 5-4-1 was effective because it ensured that Arsenal did have a 3v2 advantage in those zones. Smith Rowe was willing to drop off deeper to help out Tierney with James, and then they were able to create a triangle around Pulisic. Over on the left-hand side with Azpilicueta pushing into Arsenal's half, you have Smith Rowe looking to step forward to apply pressure, while Elneny's tight on Gilmour, and then look at Arsenal's positioning. Marty's tight on Pulisic, you have Gabriel tight on Havertz, and then Tierney's monitoring the movement of James. And the same thing applied for Mason Mount. He was occupying holding, and Chilwell was pegging back Saka, but Odegaard was willing to drop off deeper as well, and that's where you see that 3v2. Here you could see Mason Mount attempting to pick up the ball deeper, but he's faced by 3 Arsenal players with Chilwell pushing forward, and then you could see Marty occupying Havertz. And on the same flank, we witnessed something similar with Pulisic looking to push forward with Chilwell on the ball, and there you could see Saka, Odegaard, and Holding within close proximity, while Thomas Partey looks to drop off deeper centrally to help out Marty with Havertz, and Elneny shifting across to provide cover. The issue that Tuchel was encountering here was that Azpilicueta and Zuma weren't carrying the ball into Arsenal's third, so it allowed Smith Rowe and Odegaard to sack off, and what also was important was that they had help from Thomas Partey and Elneny at times because of the deep positioning of Gilmour and Jorginho. So that ultimately makes it 4v2, and even if Gilmour and Jorginho were adventurous, it ensured that it was 4v3. Essentially, it also created a 2v1 in the center of the pitch. Because of Thomas Partey shifting over to the left, Elneny will tuck in central to sit ahead of Marty, who is occupying Havertz, and the same thing would apply if Elneny shifted to the right. Thomas Partey would hold a central position. Havertz was often looking to make runs across Mari into those gaps of space in behind Holding and Gabriel, or he was looking to shift laterally to make runs into the channels, but as you can see with Arsenal's shape, they disrupted a lot of what Chelsea were trying to do in the final third. Here we could see another example of Aubameyang stepping towards Thiago Silva but blocking off the passing lane into Azpilicueta, and once again Odegaard's dropping off on Jorginho with Elneny stepping towards the Italian midfielder, and Smith Rowe shifting laterally to close down Gilmour. Therefore, with Arsenal's pressing from the front and their organized shape creating several issues for Chelsea, the only real way that the Blues were able to create chances was when Arsenal's back three switched off. Here you could see Jorginho on the ball pulling out Thomas Partey, while Havertz and Mount occupy Holding and Marty. Jorginho ends up splitting Thomas and Odegaard to find Havertz, and he turns away from pressure and allows him to run at the Arsenal center back, but now you could see Mason Mount making a run off Holding, who is ball watching. Havertz ends up driving towards the box and sliding the ball to Mount in left half space, and from this position you're expecting him to score, but Leno does a good job to deny the Chelsea midfielder. Now we could witness the rare occasion where Azpilicueta looks to carry the ball into Arsenal's half, and you could see Smith Rowe looking to step forward while Gabriel's tight on Pulisic and Tierney's tracking the movement of James. Azpilicueta does a very good job of carrying the ball beyond Smith Rowe, and that's where you end up seeing Pulisic looking to make a deep run in between Tierney and Gabriel, and both of the Arsenal's defenders need to cut out the pass. However, they don't, and Azpilicueta places Pulisic free into right half space towards the byline, while Havertz drags out Holding and Partey, and look at Mount making an unmarked run towards the box. However, when Pulisic plays the ball back to Mount, he's unable to test the keeper. Ultimately, in terms of the tactical battle, we didn't see any major shifts in the second half. Initially, we witnessed Hudson-Odoi coming on for Gilmore and Mason Mount moving to a central position, and that did create more width out on the right-hand side, and potential overloads against Tierney with Hudson-Odoi hugging the touchline. However, Smith Rowe did a very good job of dropping off deeper to provide cover and make it 2v2, and now it ensured that Gabriel was a free defender in that zone, and he was able to shift across if Tierney or Smith Rowe were bypassed. Over on the left-hand side, Mason Mount was in a deeper midfield position, but he was often looking to carry the ball forward, and now we ended up seeing more 3v3 battles in that zone as Odegaard did drop off deeper, and then they could make a 4v3 with Elneny shifting across. Tuchel's other alternatives was to bring on Giroud for Havertz, and that was to give Chelsea more of an aerial presence around the box. And later on, he did bring on Ziyech, and his main threat did stem from that inside right position as he looked to cut central to play balls over the top of Arsenal's deep defensive bank. But unfortunately for Tuchel, his substitutions failed to shift the overall pattern of the game. So while Chelsea dominated large spells of possession throughout this game, Arteta was able to stifle them with a deep 5-4-1, and his pressing created several issues for their build-up play and ultimately led to the mistake that won Arsenal the game. Hi everybody, thanks for watching and subscribe here for your latest tactical analysis and daily commentary on the InnerViews show. And if that wasn't enough, don't forget you could find more organic, unfiltered soccer/football analysis on the InnerViews podcast, the best soccer/football podcast in the world, available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and any Android apps on your Android devices.